Should you really fear the devil? In many religions, the devil is something to be feared, to be afraid of, to watch out for. Don't get trapped, don't get caught by the devil. What is all this nonsense anyway? It is actually fear-based theories, fear-based programming of the mind. If you believe in the devil, especially if you believe in all this evilness, this supposed darkness, how can you ever live in true peace? Well, you can't. You see, you shouldn't let the devil scare you, even though he exists. But it is in a multiple forms. So when we speak of the devil, we're not just talking about some weird horned being, like a creature with horns on its head, walking around through three-dimensional space. And when he catches you, you go to hell. No, we're not talking about any of that. You know, the real devil of our lives is fear. Everything that is fear-based within your heart is the devil, is of the devil. Because as long as fear exists within your heart, you can never be free. Without freedom, you will never know your true self. You will never know real peace. So the devil can come in many forms. He doesn't just come physically, perhaps, to you through the behavior of people that can be very demonic. He actually exists mostly in the astral realms. That is where you can meet him face to face in his many forms. I've met him myself, and his eyes were black as obsidian, which is very interesting because obsidian holds a very spiritual meaning, a spiritual power as well, as far as I know. At least I never really looked into it, but I know obsidian can have these magical qualities to it as well. But in my case, when I stepped out of my body at one point, there came this person up to me, and they tried to tempt me to believe something, which I instantly knew that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't even matter. What are you on about? But then I looked at them in their face very carefully, and I saw those eyes were as pitch black, like literally as black as night. And it was then that I knew I was not looking at an angelic being. I was looking at a demonic being, basically a satanic life form. But it didn't scare me either, because I know when I'm outside of my body, I know that there's nothing that can hurt me at all. Anyways, the point of this all is that when you think of it, all the fears of our lives are usually body based. They're based on what could happen to our physical self. As long as we don't break free from this perception that we are just our bodies, we can never be truly free from fear, because the body can be hurt in all kinds of ways. And what happens to the body can be highly uncomfortable, and then we start fearing such potential scenarios occurring to us. Maybe stuff has already happened to us physically, now we fear it might happen again. So we're full of fear, and we only have peace perhaps temporarily at certain moments of our lives. Now when Satan came to me in his many forms in the astral realm, I also asked him, what is the point of this suffering on planet Earth in three-dimensional space? What is the point? Tell me. And he said that to him, it's just funny to see how serious people take their lives, how they have forgotten they are immortal souls. They take their physical journey so serious, they suffer so greatly. It's very funny to me. That's what he said. It's perfectly in line with the concept of Satan, as religion teaches us as well to all of us. I mean, he's not a nice guy, he's not really a friendly guy that you want to hang out with, so to speak, right? But really, it made me think a lot. Perhaps it can make you think as well. How serious do you take your life here on this planet? Because the more serious you take it, the more you are actually in the realm of satanic forces. Because the satanic forces want you to believe you're limited, that you are this physical being, this tiny little creature in a gigantic universe that's perhaps completely hopelessly lost. Maybe has to be afraid of everything that could hurt him or her. Like, everything can hurt you. Be very afraid, be very careful, make sure that you're always safe. They'll always have protection on you. Just do all kinds of stuff to protect yourself. All from a physical point of view, forgetting the immortal nature that you really are. You have to break this body identification. The only way to do it is to consciously step out of your body to finally know once and for all that you are not just the physical self. That is just the vehicle you use in order to function through three-dimensional space. So this is what Satan wants. This is what the satanic forces within the universe want to keep you blinded, keep you focused on this little version of yourself, this physical version of you, instead of the greater infinite self, the multidimensional self that you really are. Because if you knew that you were multidimensional, then you can all put it into perspective. All these fears can vanish because you can just see it for what it is. Anything that happens to you physically is just happening to a tiny fraction of you. It doesn't happen to the entirety of you. So that means that, yes, even if you pass away, it's not the end of you, it's just the end of the physical part of you. And that's okay. If you know the rest of yourself as a multidimensional being, then it's totally fine. Like, who would worry about it? If you worry about losing the physical self, it means you're attached to something that is temporary by nature, and that's just ridiculous, and it's another trick of satanic forces. It's to keep you blinded and attached to the very things that you should not be attached to. Because as long as you're attached to it, you suffer easily. You're constantly blinded, you're unable to look beyond it, you don't even want to seek beyond it because you think this is the only reality there is. And then Satan laughs. Because he knows he's got you. You've taken this life too serious. And in that seriousness you suffer. That's funny to Satan. So be careful in that regard. You shouldn't be scared of Satan at all. Because the less fear you have, the less control he can have over your soul. So this is the trick, or the goal then, is to get rid of fear. And to replace fear with love, with divine love, with true infinite love. And compassion, to no longer be afraid. You stop all the physical fears if you know yourself non-physically. If you know who you are beyond the physical, then you no longer have these physical fears. Stuff could still make you nervous at times, physically speaking, of course. But you don't have those terrifying fears that so many people actually have, where they're just so terrified of what might happen to them, and they can't function anymore mentally. Like, the whole mind is messed up because of that fear. So overcome the fear, any fears that you have, through spiritual awareness, through the true awareness of who you are, through awareness of your infinite self. You'll overcome the fears of physicality. Because as long as those fears exist, you can never be at peace. And to never be at peace is exactly the domain of Satan. That's where he wants you. So it's interesting that religions tell people, and have many people afraid of the devil, worried about the devil. But the more you're afraid and worried about the devil, the more you actually give him your power. Because you're allowing him to exist within your very being through that frequency of fear. So stop being afraid. Stop even paying attention to those fears. Instead, look at the infinite. Look at what lies beyond. Look at eternity. Even though you can't comprehend it entirely right now with just the human awareness, you can start to experience aspects of your own infinite nature that will get rid of all these human fears that would otherwise hold you down, keep you blind, keep you afraid and tiny. Little me, little physical me. Oh God, please save me. People pray to God for help and guidance. Again, a God outside of themselves. without realizing that they are the God that they seek. As a multidimensional being, God is source consciousness. The very depths of your own consciousness is that same source consciousness. So what we're getting at here is that if you want the help of God, you should learn to shut out and off the fear-based programming of your human mind. You should go beyond it. If you can go beyond all the programmed ideas and limiting beliefs that were placed there in your mind, then you too can perceive and experience parts of source consciousness while you're inside your physical body. Then you will be guided by higher wisdom, the wisdom of God that you were seeking all along. If you can just recognize all of this, how silly all these fears really are, then you'll be able to be free on this journey right here and now before you drop in the grave. You don't have to wait until you reach the grave to be free. Why not be free beforehand? Unless you're lazy, unless you don't want to put in the work of letting go of these erroneous ideas that have been taught to you and me and all of us. You see, the devil can't hurt you, and he knows it. He can only mislead you through your own ignorance and acceptance of him through fear. Remember this, because even with me, when I'm in the astral realms and I face these satanic forces, these demonic beings, and I look them in the eyes, I'm not afraid because I know they can't hurt me, and they know they can't hurt me either, but they sure like to try. And the way they try is through lies and deception, trying to mislead you, trying to make you believe stuff that if you fall for it, will then box you down again temporarily and then make you blind to higher truth, and then you suffer, and that is what Satan wants. That's the only way he can hurt you, is through your own inner suffering. And since it is within you, it's also within your power to break free from him. And when you do, you will put him in his proper place. At the end of the day, we're all divine brethren. Even Satan is one of our brothers, and they called him a fallen angel, right? Well, that's all symbolism for a force, an energetic force that exists within the universe that is simply dragging everyone down if you let it. But you can also rise above it, and that same force is okay with it as well. Satan is okay with that as well, because he can't hurt you. Because again, remember what he told me. It's just funny to see how serious people take their physical lives. And in that seriousness, they suffer greatly. They have forgotten they are immortal souls. Now that stuff is really funny to me.